From the banks of Dewey Lake, it's the Dewey Pod Monster.
All right, welcome back. My name is John, and this is the Dewey Pod Monster podcast. This is a weekly podcast, and it is about consumption, except for last week, where it's about copyright infringement. We are, of course, proud members of the You Run Podcast Network. You can find all of our old episodes, all of our new episodes, and all of our upcoming episodes at yourunpodcast.com or on any podcast platform of your choosing. While you're at yourunpodcast.com, please do go check out all the other great shows on the You Run Podcast Network. Find something new. There's a lot of good stuff there. It's still spooky season. There's a lot of horror movie creators out there that would like to have you listen to what they have to say. With me this week is the king of creation, or something along those lines. His name is Sean. And Sean, how are you doing today?
John, I'm great. Let me, before we get started, I just want to say something real quick. Everybody that listens to the show on a regular basis, you may have noticed that our episode on last Tuesday, didn't come out on time. And I just wanted to kind of address what that is.
And it came out on time. It disappeared after time.
You may notice the intro music is different this week. So we've had to change that because some copyright troll decided that the music that we were using as our intro that is copyright free is now their work. And they decided that they would be really cool guys to claim that. So I just wanted to kind of say this out in the open. Fuck Spotify, number one. Spotify can eat a big dick. So if anybody out there knows of a host that isn't super expensive, but gives us some kind of stats, if our other podcasting brethren, friends listening have a great suggestion, let us know, because I am going to become a fucking nihilist. I believe in nothing because of this Spotify shit that is really putting a twist in my panties. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. How you doing, John? I'm taking you to a show. What else do you want?
Wait, it's finally beanie season, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm going to be wearing a beanie for the next 6 to 7 months, like consistently. So that's a good thing. In regards to your fuck Spotify comments, like I don't really have any argument one way or the other here at this point. Like it's obnoxious. So for the, I think it was 27 people that got to hear that episode before it came down, and we're still working on fixing it. Hopefully it will be fixed by the time that you hear this. Thank you. And hopefully it doesn't happen again. Now, on with what we usually do. Sean, what have you been watching what have you been watching when you're not dealing with Spotify's bullshit?
So instead of Spotify, I went to a different network and I watched a couple things on Netflix. So let me tell you about them. First, I want to talk about, did you ever watch the TV show The Biggest Loser?
A little bit, but not like consistently. I know the premise. I know, I couldn't tell you like who was on it or much past
I don't think anybody could really tell you. But so anyways, there's a documentary.
I'm sure someone could, but it's not me.
A limited series on Netflix. It's called Fit for TV, and it's about The Biggest Loser. It's a 3-part thing. They interview people that were on the show. They interview one of the trainers because the other one, Jillian Michaels, decided not to participate because they didn't have a lot of nice things to say about her. They make accusations about you weren't supposed to give the doctor banned all caffeine from the show. So they didn't want people drinking coffee. They didn't want them taking supplements because they wanted the doctor wanted them to lose weight in a more healthy way rather than them working out, for 16 hours a day and drinking coffee. So one of the Jillian Michaels is accused of giving Stacker, which is like a caffeine pill. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it looks like a striped bee. And that's one of the big contention.
I don't know about you, but I drink coffee for your health as much for my health. But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways, the whole crux of the show is kind of the doctor fighting against the producers. He was the doctor for the Raiders for a while. He was the doctor. I think he was in the OJ trial. He was one of the medical experts. It was an interesting watch. They interviewed some people that were on the show, people that had problems with the show that were on the show. It's a good watch. It's a 3 45-minute episode. So you're looking at 2 hours and 15 minutes roughly of your life. If you're interested in The Biggest Loser, we watched it not religiously, but I think we watched a couple seasons. Next up, I watched another Netflix thing, and it's called Unknown Number, the high school catfish. And that was very interesting. It took place, the story, it's a documentary that's told after the fact, but the whole story took place, and I forgot the name of the city, but it's in Michigan. It's mid-Michigan near Mount Pleasant-ish. that area. So like real central part of the state. It's about this girl and this guy. They're like freshmen in high school and they start dating. They've been, they're friends. They play baseball and softball and all these different sports. And the girl, they actually both start getting these texts from an unknown number telling them all this heinous shit. Like, you should break up. Nobody likes this girl and blah, 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 blah. And that doesn't sound so heinous, but it starts to get more aggressive and more insulting, like the more texts that come in. So it starts to get like, this bitch doesn't have any tits and blah, just like real mentally abusive language is in this thing. And I don't want to give much more away. It's like, again, another hour and a half or so. The person that is behind the text messages is someone that you would least expect. Let's put it that way. So that's all I'll say about that. But that's called Unknown Number, the high school catfish. And then...
Is it a teacher?
I can't tell you that.
Ooh,
but it gets the whole town involved. Like, it's a small town. Everybody's involved. I think the high school has like 500 kids or something. It's like a really small high school. It's a really small community. Like, everybody knows everybody. So the last thing I want to talk about is, and I think you may talk about this, I don't know. So I started watching, we're not very far into the season yet, but I started watching The Chair Company, which, did you start watching that yet?
No, I probably will this week. I wanted to let a couple episodes bank up before I did.
Okay, so basically, again, I don't really know what this show is about, so I'll just tell you, I only got a chance to watch the first episode. This is the new show with Tim Robinson, and if you like Tim Robinson humor, I think this will be a show that you enjoy. So it's basically
what I'm expecting.
He plays the project manager of a shopping mall that's going up in Canton, Ohio. And during a speech in front of his colleagues, like they're like, hey, the new project manager, blah, 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 blah. He gives the speech and he goes to take a seat. And when he goes to take a seat on the stage, his chair just totally crumbles. It collapses. So from there, of course, it goes a little Tim Robinson, and he becomes obsessed with finding who the makers of this chair are, like how they're going to he's going to get retribution, how he's going to make them pay, all this stuff. I actually watched some of it with my family, and there's just like one scene that comes up where he finds these Xeroxes of like, I don't know, like a dude man, like a Penthouse or a Playboy or a Hustler or something. There's a little bit of graphic pictures in it. They didn't see that part because I was like, oh no, this is how the show starts. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Looks like a lot of fun. Again, I feel like if you're a Tim Robinson fan and you like any of the shit that he's really kind of headlined, you're going to like this show. So those are 3 things I got a chance to watch.
I'm looking forward to it. I just haven't, like I said, because I know it's only like a half-hour runtime or something like that. I was like, I'm going to be happier with this if I can get like 2 or 3 of these out at a time, just get a little more at once. I do like a half-hour runtime on a show, but with something like that, I almost want to kind of like be able to sit back and take more of it in at once than just 30 minutes at a time. And I got to say, like, streaming has really ruined appointment television for me. Like, there's something about like, you kind of miss the, I guess, nostalgia of being able to like, oh, such and such show is on Thursday at 10 o'clock or whatever. And then the next day you can talk about it with whoever you know is watching it. That doesn't really exist anymore, which I guess is bad. But at the same time, like, I'm really bad at like, oh, cool, I really got into this. Now I have to wait 7 days for another episode. Like, I want a little more to be able to go off of, I guess.
I mean, I can't even watch network television shows anymore. If I'm not putting up with 24 hours of a show or however many episodes in a season that are 40, however many minutes long. Fuck that. If you can't tell me a story in 10 episodes for a season, you can go fuck yourself. I don't have time for that. I do not have time for that. I've got other movies to watch. I've got Demons to watch. So how am I going to watch that?
I mean, Demons doesn't take that much time, but I hear you. You want to hear about the type of shit? Would you like me to tell you what I've been watching?
No, let's just go to Demons. Yes, John, please tell me what
we'll
you've
take
been
a break. Oh, fuck. I was going to talk about Demons.
Damn.
So I haven't done, I don't have any shows I'm going to bring up this week. I've just been doing movies and stuff. I'm going to start with one. This is kind of piggybacking off of Project Metal Beast because we were talking about werewolves, and I've been putting off watching The Forest Hills since it came out. So The Forest Hills, are you familiar with this one or no?
Probably not.
This is the reason why people give a shit about, or why I think people give a shit about this movie, is because it's Shelley Duvall's last film. So she's in it for a broken I'm going to say 10 minutes, but it's probably more like 5 minutes, like between the runtime of the movie. And she's fine in it. But here's what I got to say. If you're going to make a movie about a werewolf, it's probably not in your best interest to have your lead character who you spend 90% of the movie with be a guy who is mentally unhealthy, hallucinating, and you never really fucking know what's going on in the movie. Like, you never know is like, you know, it's a very nonsensical. It's a lot of like screaming in the woods in the movie. The guy who they have playing the lead, like, for what they tried to ask him to do, I guess he's fine. Like, he's being told to be a crazy guy who might or might not be seeing werewolves. And I say crazy because I don't have a better word to say. But by putting it through his POV, basically, for the majority of this movie, I literally was like, I have no fucking clue what the fuck is actually going on in this movie. And there's a lot of people you'll recognize in this movie, too. Like, Edward Furlong is in it for a little bit. Felicia Rose is in it for a little bit. Stacey Nelkin is in it, who haven't seen her in like forever. So there's a lot of like horror regulars that show up in this movie for like 5 seconds. And fucking Dee Wallace is in this movie too. But it doesn't do anything to take away from this main character that is so like mentally gone that it can't like pull the rest of the movie in. And some of these, like, I'm not trying to say Edward Furlong is some great actor at this point in his career. Like, who's going to save our movie? Edward Furlong. Let's get him. Like, it's probably not the statement that I'm trying to make, but you know, it's another movie where it's like, okay, for the couple moments you do see what they're trying to portray as a werewolf, looks cool enough for what it is. Would have liked to seen a lot more of it, and I would have liked to see more of all these other actors that I know who the fuck they are, and maybe have them, I don't know, create some sort of character development, story, plot, those types of things. It just falls flat. So if you want to watch it to watch, you know, Shelley Duvall's last film, I get that. That's what hooked me to see it, just out of respect for her. But I can't recommend it past that. And she's, for those of you who don't know what Shelley Duvall looked like right before she passed, she does not look like Shelley Duvall from The Shining, where you probably remember her from, or Olive Oil, or young Shelley Duvall. She has aged quite a bit, and that's fine. Like, people do that. But it's a little bit of a, if you haven't seen her since her heyday, it might be a little bit of a shock to see what life does to a person, I guess. On a more interesting note, really cool movie that I watched, I would recommend this, is a movie called Scanner Cop. I kind of talked to you about this a little bit, but I'm going to talk about it again. So Scanner Cop is a movie about a kid whose dad has some kind of telekinesis power or some shit like that. And basically they learn how to control it with these pills. And the whole idea is, I think it's, if they don't take their pill within like, it's either 4 or 6 days, something like that. Like, within a few days, these little fucking monsters grow out of their head and their head essentially explodes. It goes very poorly. So the dad has some shit happen, and, you know, fast forward, the kid gets adopted by the cop that saves him. The cop raises him. He becomes a cop himself, and he's, you know, managing his telekinesis shit. So this guy starts picking off all these cops, and you find out there's a whole big twist as to how he relates to it later. But the short version is the dad is now like the, I guess, chief of police, and he starts convincing his son to use his telekinesis powers to like track down this killer. And by telekinesis powers, I mean, he can do all the fun shit. He can read minds, he can blow shit up, he can throw shit, all the cool shit, you know? And it basically is just like an hour and a half, like, I guess you would call this a thriller. It's I'm looking at it on IMDb right now. They have it listed as body horror, which I guess I could see that a little bit too. But it's basically like telekinesis cop versus like crazy bad guy. But telekinesis cop has a little bit of South Park telekinesis in it, where like he almost goes like la, 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 when he starts trying to do shit. So it's very cheesy, very 90s, kind of over the top at some point with some of the gore, but I was pretty entertained with it. And there is a Scanner Cop 2 that I'm going to watch sooner than later. So would highly recommend giving that one a go. It's the kind of movie we'd actually probably talk about like at length.
I want telekinesis.
I mean, it would be a fun thing to have, at least when you, if you could, as long as you don't have little dudes crawling out your brain or whatever.
So when they have the heads, the little faces start growing out of their heads, will they can they be controlled by taking medication and then they go away, or you're just stuck like that, or you don't even live long enough for that to be a thing?
So the only one you see in the movie, and this is in the first like 3 minutes of the movie, so it's not really ruining much. You don't live long enough because shit happens. They don't answer that question. Like if there's going back after it, they kind of get close to it happening again in the movie, but they never really answer that question. So maybe it's in Scanner Cop 2. I kind of got again, it's not like written in stone or anything. I kind of got the impression like once the dudes show up in your head, you're kind of fucked. But we'll have to watch the sequel and find out. So
yeah, for sure.
Then last, I kind of went to a sewer after, I think this was after watching Toxic Avenger, and decided to watch some more Troma shit. And I gave Romeo and Juliet a rewatch, which I don't think I've watched that since I was in high school. And I swear I was 100% positive that James Gunn not only wrote, but also directed that. But now it's saying that Lloyd Kaufman directed it and James Gunn only wrote it. I'm seriously wondering if, like, I don't know who he would have to pay off to do it or what, but because James Gunn's come a long way from Troma movies to what he's doing now. I almost wonder if you like paid the internet to scrub that off. Like just have people like, I'll take a writing credit, but I don't want any more direction than that. But regardless, I mean, Romeo and Juliet's like a Troma retelling of Romeo and Juliet, which you could probably guess from the title. Yes. Except it has Lemmy in it as a narrator, which right there, that's fucking great. And it has a bunch of tits and a penis monster. So what else do you need? I mean,
probably
for
not
a Troma
much.
movie, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not good, but I also wasn't mad that I rewatched it, if that made any sense at all. Like, you know, those, like, I was a dumb teenager when I watched this last, and then you come back, you're like, now I'm a dumb adult and I'm watching it again.
I know that all too well.
That's the only ones I was really going to bring up this week that I went through. So we've complained about Spotify. We've talked about what we watch. Why don't we take a break and come back and talk about demons and start getting towards the end of Horrorween? Sean says yes.
Yes.
All right. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, AI John here. Have you ever watched a movie that you loved and wished you could get a fresh perspective from someone who's never seen that movie before? That's just what's in store for you on the Reaction Shot podcast. Dave takes a deep dive with his guests to chat, dissect, and review these movies, and even discuss the impact the movie had on pop culture. Head over to yourunpodcast.com to check them out and all the other members of the You Run Podcast Network. All right, so we're back, and this is the last movie that we pulled for this year's Horrorween, and we're going to be talking about the movie Demons from 1985. This movie went against City of the Walking Dead, which is another fun movie that I'm sure we'll talk about in the future, but this is the only poll that we did this month that wasn't even fucking close. Like, Demons blew this one away by a pretty substantial margin, and I'm sure Sean's going to be booger-lipped about that.
I'm so booger-lipped. I don't think anybody gave City of the Walking Dead enough credit. Hurts my feelings, man.
You know what? There's definitely an argument to be made there, but we'll do that at a later time, I suppose. So we're going to start this little chat with a third-party review. I just have to pull it back up because I closed that. There it is. So this third-party review is another anonymous one, and he says, I found the IMDb rating on this to be a little bit too high for my liking, so I reviewed it on Rotten Tomatoes. I really have mixed opinions about it. On the good side, it definitely has got suspenseful moments. The music is pretty appropriate for the genre, and the film is loaded full of disgusting, outrageous buckets of guts and gore. 3 out of 5 stars. I guess he doesn't want to tell me any of the bad side out of it, but
it's inferred.
I just like that he said, I like that he says the IMDb rating is too high, so he reviewed it on another platform. I thought that was kind of entertaining. Sean, do you want to tell us what the internet or IMDb says Demons is all about?
Yeah, so for that, we go over to that little website called imdb.com and we look up the name or the word Demons, and that pulls up a 1985 film. This is not rated. It is an hour and 28 minutes. The original title is Demoni, and it gets a 6.6 out of 10 with 29,000 ratings. So we're going to read the storyline or the plot. We're never quite sure which one's which, but they wouldn't put whatever it is on top, whatever they're calling it, wouldn't be on top of the page if you weren't supposed to read it first. So it says a group of random people are invited to a screening of a mysterious movie, only to find themselves trapped in the theater with ravenous demons. And if we scroll on down to the other thing, it says storyline. So I guess that means it's the storyline. This comes care of Cinema Fan. And Cinema Fan says, art imitating art is the basis of this demonic tale of a group of invited guests to a screening of a horror film that brings naturalism to life. They are baited and penned, and their walled-in feeling quickly turns to screaming fear as those who are dead lust after the flesh of the living. In this full-scale cinema of hell, it's only a question of time before demons from the abyss are asking for second portions.
So one of the things I was looking at before we started talking about this, the person speaking on it kept calling the lead actor Michael Dudikoff. I'm like, what? No fucking. So I had to check this like 3 times, and Michael Dudikoff is not in this movie. But who is in this movie?
Michael Dudikoff. Do not besmirch his name. He is definitely not in this movie.
I did not. I was not the one who besmirched him.
Okay.
Someone else kept calling him Michael Dudikoff, and I was like, I could see the resemblance, but
no.
I feel like I would have noticed Michael Dudikoff in this movie. But I did go back and check the cast. Like, you have the short list of the cast, and then you can expand it to like everyone. I went through every name associated with this looking for Michael Dudikoff. It wasn't that hard. You just hit Control F. Not involved with this movie. So
you're right. So I'll tell you some of the people that are involved. And a lot of Italian names that I will butcher, and you will not know who any of them are. So I will read their names. We have Urbano Barberini. He plays George. He was in Casino Royale, which is the James Bond, the one with Daniel Craig, not the one with Peter Sellers. That isn't actually James Bond. He was also in Gore and Gore 2. And if it weren't for this, I wouldn't even know there was a Gore 2. We have Fiore Argento, who is the half-sister of Asia Argento, which means Dario Argento is her father. She was in Phenomena, or Creepers, as you may know, that had, what's-her-face? We have Garetta, who plays Rosemary. She was in 2020 Texas Gladiators. We talked about her in Murder Rock, Dancing Death, and she was in Terminator 2. Not that Terminator 2, another Terminator 2. And then we have Nicoletta Elmi, who plays Ingrid. She was in Deep Red, which I talked about with the Podcast in the Woods crew. We have Paula Cozo, who plays Kathy. She's not been in anything, but she was in a movie, and I thought this was an amazing movie title. It's called Kay the Butcher Shitter. And then we have Giuseppe Mauro Cruciano, who plays Hot Dog. I don't know what else he was in. His name is Hot Dog in this movie, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. You want Cliff Notes for this one? Because they're pretty short and to the point.
Yeah, I have a Cliff Notes too, but let's hear your Cliff note.
Demons is a cocaine-fueled fever dream in which demons go to the movies and ruin Tony the Pimp's evening.
Yeah, okay. That's pretty succinct. This is what I have for my Sean's notes. I have a girl and a friend get an invitation to a movie from a man in a silver mask for an unknown movie screening at a theater that they've never heard of. When they get there, several people are there to watch the same movie. The movie they're watching is about some teens that are looking for Nostradamus's tomb, where they find a mask similar to the one in the theater lobby. But once things start going wrong in the movie, they start to go wrong in real life too. Could I write a storyline for IMDb, do you think?
You absolutely could write a storyline for IMDb.
Yes, Cinema Fan 2.
And you didn't make it like 15 pages long, so I appreciate that.
Cool.
So
cool.
This is a interesting movie because I think a lot of the things this movie, for me, the things I like might come up again as things that are like a negative too, but I digress. Let's start with some positives on it, and I'll kick us off here and just say, I kind of love that this movie is just a shit show of essentially zombie fun. That like they pretty quickly get you into this theater, and before you know it, this movie says, okay, fuck all this plot and character development shit and all that type of stuff, and we're just going to go nuts for the next hour and 20 minutes or so till we get to the end of this movie. And there's a lot of things that come up in this movie that are not necessarily directly related to the demons. Things like the dude snorting coke out of a Coca-Cola can, which I found to be really entertaining.
Yes. Yep.
That manages to find their way into the movie theater. The helicopter that crashes into the movie theater out of nowhere. There's things that you just kind of look at them and go, all right, sure, that might as well fucking happen. And this movie does a really good job of kind of balancing that out and saying, no, this doesn't make sense, but I don't think you're going to care that much about it. I have more. We can kind of ping pong a little bit on this, but how about you? What are there things that you like on this one?
I wanted to mention first off, before I really start getting into the likes, is at the beginning of the movie, they have some opening credits and they note some of the additional music. And it's like from Rick Springfield, from Motley Crue, from Billy Idol and others.
Yeah.
Some names that maybe I've heard of, some I probably haven't or definitely had not. And I was actually wondering if they had gotten permission to use this music, because this is an Italian movie. This is directed by Lamberto Bava, who the only other movie looking through his kind of resume or body of work that I even recognize is Blast Fighter. But it's just one of those things where, you know, Italian cinema, they don't really give a shit about copyright, unlike Spotify, who tag your shit even if it's not copyright infringement. Anyways, I promise it'll only come up once or twice more in this episode. So for me, I think like the silver mask part is really actually pretty cool. Like the silver mask that hangs in the lobby is this, it's like a demon mask, and it actually shows up in the movie, inside of the movie that they're watching, which I don't know if that movie actually has a title or not, but Goretta puts this.
I kind of want to watch it, whatever it is.
It looks like it could be interesting. So there's this mask and she puts it on and it cuts her face. In the movie, when they open Nostradamus' tomb, he's got this book where it has a drawing of the mask. It's not like as cheaply looking as what they have in the lobby of the theater, but the character in the movie cuts his face too with this mask, and that's kind of like what starts the demons spawning. I thought that like the special effects, it is like a bonus, it's a positive, but I have to say it's those special effects, they're like those shitty low budget 80s special effects, or at least that's how it kind of feels. It definitely has those shitty special effects that you really only get from Italian knockoff kind of movies, or like low budget Italian. I don't even know if this was considered a low budget Italian movie, but it just kind of has that feel to it, at least to me. So that's like a like and a dislike. I wanted to ask you a question. So there's a character that goes to the movies and he's with his companion, and it's like a blind guy. And I know this is pure ignorance on my part, but do you think blind people go to the movies? They have someone that has to explain it, right?
Yeah. There's so I worked in a movie theater, 2 different movie theaters when I was a kid. Blind people actually go to the movies quite frequently.
How do they get around the people talking in the theater? Are they just
never asked
quietly?
that question? I don't know. Now they have the whole like descriptive audio track and all that stuff. Yeah, let's see. That's not the kind of theater I worked in. Now they have like descriptive audio and stuff for like that you can get headphones for and all that type of stuff. But the first theater I worked in, there was a guy who came in every Tuesday, every Thursday, and every other like weekend, and always saw, well, I guess you didn't see it, but always went to
experience
whatever the newest thing was that week. In regard to the budget, just because you brought it up, this has a estimated budget of $1,800,000 in 1985 money. So I would say that's probably still on the low budget end.
That's probably pretty good for an Italian film. But I didn't get to finish on the blind guy. So he goes into the movie, and they're like, the display is basically, I don't know what this display has to do with anything that's in the movie, but it does play a part later on. The display is like a dirt bike.
Foreshadowing. That's what it has to do.
It's a dirt bike with a mannequin on it that's holding a katana, and the other hand, he's holding this mask. And the blind guy touches the silver demon mask, and he's like, "Don't touch it." And she says, "What are you talking about?" And then he proceeds to touch the mask more. Like, don't tell me not to touch something, and then you touch the shit out of it. That just makes me feel like you don't want me to touch it. There's no reason for it. I just thought it was funny. Sorry. I love Tony the Pimp, and I love Tony the Pimp's voice. He is the exact...
His dialogue is amazing.
Yeah, he is the exact interpretation of what I would think an 80s pimp sounds like through an Italian interpreter, because some of the characters look like they're dubbed, but I don't think they all are. I think some of them are they all dubbed regardless?
So I don't know how accurate this. What I read and what I heard is that all the actors read the lines in English, but when they shot it, they still dubbed them over. So kind of like Monster Dog, they spoke the proper language for where they were shooting or whatever, but then they still dubbed it over anyway for reasons.
It must be cheaper to like redo it than really have to worry about all your audio as you're doing it, I guess. And then
it's not like the dialogue really. Yeah, I mean, aside from being kind of comical as far like how bad it is, it doesn't really. This isn't a movie where you have to pay attention to what's being said.
I think Natasha Hovey who I didn't mention the cast. She plays Cheryl. She's like the main female. I think she's speaking English, and that she's the one that, especially, so when they come out of the subway at the beginning of the movie, the guy that gives them the ticket, he's wearing half of a silver mask, which fits in the special effects thing because that looks like really badly applied to this guy. But she seems to be, it looked like the dubbing's actually really good. If it's probably still her voice, but it looks really good. The last thing I'll kind of bring up as a like, and then I'll let you kind of get back to yours, is if you've seen this movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, there is an epic dirt bike and dickhead scene where our main male character
goes on forever.
Yeah. He's driving around the theater. He's driving over his seats. George is our main male character. He's driving over seats. He's got the katana, and he's got it like just mounted on the dirt bike, and he's like swinging it and batting people over the head, every which way from Sunday, smacking them on the head with this thing. That's great. If price of admission right there, you got the guy on the dirt bike in 1985, red dirt bike slashing demons with a katana. I was going to say machete, a katana. I have to bring up a question though, before I let you continue, before I even let you start. Are these demons or are they zombies?
I mean, they call them demons, so I'm going to say they're demons, but I think for all intents and purpose, they're zombies because they kind of act like zombies. They kind of
do zombie
aside from
stuff.
how the whole thing starts. Yeah, they basically do zombie stuff. And when they bite or scratch or whatever to you, with a few exceptions and some weird like side plots, I guess, they tend to turn people into demons, zombies, whatever we're fucking calling them. So to answer your question, I'm going to call them demons because that's what they call them in the movie. But I think as far as how, like, if you're going to subgenre this, they might as well be zombies. It feels pretty much the same with it.
Yeah. I did also write
some of the things you
cocaine in a Coca-Cola can. Genius. That's literally what my note says.
Yeah. Mine's pretty similar to that. I said Coke out of a Coke can. Fantastic. You mentioned the effects. I like the effects in this because they are bad. They are like 100%. You can see like how they're doing what they're doing. There's no secrets. Like, I love the randomness of some of the things. Like, there's a scene where a demon like is birthed out of a woman's back for reasons that I've seen this movie several times and I still don't know exactly how or why. I guess how it doesn't matter, but I don't know why that happens because it's not like it ever comes up again. It just happens this one time. But I'm like, this looks like a shitty puppet that they just like. It looks like they just shaved a Muppet and stuck it out of this like whatever they're using as a makeshift carcass. But it's kind of fun. I kind of like that.
But the thing that's awesome about that is it's a person. It's like a person in makeup.
Yeah.
So it's not a puppet. You used Muppet. It kind of makes me think of puppet. But it just for the record, it's a person that crawls out of this clearly not real person's back, like the casing that they put this person in. It's
husk or whatever.
Right.
I love the soundtrack going along with it. There's so many like just, I'm going to call them early 80s like thrash metal songs that just come out of fucking nowhere. And kind of the thing that this movie gets so right to me is, all the things that we're saying you could take as a positive or a negative. It almost like this movie blends those two things together kind of perfectly. But at the end of the day, anytime that I watch this, I might come away with it like, why did this happen? Why didn't they do this? Where the fuck did that come from? And so on and so on. But between the over-the-top gore, the soundtrack, and the dirt bike and dickhead that you mentioned, there's a lot of fun to be had with this movie because it's high octane, just like it feels like they just took a camera and said, let's have some fucking fun and see what happens with it. And you come out with this hour and a half, like, stick people in a room and kill them. That's basically what it comes down to. It's not something you have to overthink. It is a very easy movie to just kind of throw on and have a couple beers and be like, that shit happened again. And the second movie is a lot of the same, just they transition to a new location. So take that for what it's worth. But I like how this movie almost has this, like, it walks this tightrope where it takes the things that I would normally say are a negative, like not really having a story, not really having plot. There is zero character development. Exposition scenes, fuck off. We're not doing any of that. All this shit that normally is put in a movie to actually tell a story. No. And like I said, I've been thinking about this for like 2 days since I watched this. Like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think for this movie, it just kind of works, even though I'm kind of calling it a negative at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like that is one of the biggest negatives for me, is that the movie just feels so disjointed. The people are trapped in this movie theater. When they try to leave, they realize basically it's never been open. Like the doors were imaginary. They came in through magic somehow. That's fine. No problem. I don't have any complaint with that. I think that's cool. The people are getting picked off one by one in this theater. Cool. No problem. But it feels like we've talked about this in movies in the past, and I can't pick one out of thin air to talk about, but it just feels like cool set pieces that are kind of held together by as little as possible. And sometimes it works. And I think in this movie, sometimes honestly, it kind of does, but overall for me, it was a complaint for me.
You know what it kind of reminded me of? Although I enjoyed this dramatically more for all the reasons that we've already said. It kind of reminded me of the first Terrifier movie. It feels more like a proof of concept as like, hey, here's all these crazy set pieces and all these like spectacular gore like setups, or, you know, splat scenes, or whatever you want to call them. There's some crazy characters that kind of come and go. There's no real explanation. There's no real reason for any of this. And you're in and out in like an hour and a half. And you, like I said, kind of like you could say about Terrifier, you're left with just as many questions as you are answers. Like there's no real defining thing one way or the other. Now, like I said, I find this to be dramatically more fun than Terrifier. Like not even close. Like that's a whole different conversation, but that's the like comparing it to another movie like that. That's the one that kept coming up in my head. I'm like, this feels a lot like that, in that there's just a bunch of shit happening. And I could see where people find that entertaining. Like I said, for this movie, it works. For Terrifier, sometimes it does. I know for you, it never does.
No. It did not.
Right.
Go back and listen
not
to
trying
our
to shit
Terrifier
on that
episode.
All three of them. I'm not trying to rehash that movie necessarily, but that's the kind of movie that reminds me of. It's like, there's not really a lot going on here other than just a bunch of crazy shit happening all at once. And again, I don't know if it's the stupid characters. Again, we have 4 people that wander into this theater after all this carnage starts. So there's got to be a way out. If you can get in, you can get out, right?
You can get out. So you can get in if a demon lets you in. It seems like that's the way that they trick so there's these group of hoods, I guess, hot dog being one of them, hot dog water, and they're escaping from the cops, and one of the demons like opens this back door somehow, and they stumble out, and the toughs.
I thought he like kicked it or something. Maybe I missed that. So
it just popped open, and then he left. So I don't know if it had anything to do with him actually doing anything. But he goes and hides. The cops find him, and they're like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, buddy?" And the toughs go in. But one thing, like a big thing that really irked me about this movie, is that you're watching this movie. It's an hour and a half, hour and 25 minutes, whatever. And I don't know what the mark is that this happens, but it's like 35 minutes, 40 minutes in. There's like this, something's on the screen, and it just says like fine primo tempo, which means end part 1. I was watching it. I'm like, and it sits on the screen for like 5 or 10 seconds. I'm like, what the fuck? Number one, I don't speak Italian, so I had to look up what fine primo tempo meant. I'm like, what is this? This is supposed to mean something. It means end part 1, but there's no real part 2. Like part after that starts with the hoods in the car. They stole a car. They're they're bad boys and a girl. 3 bad boys and 1 bad girl. And they figure, the cops figure them out, and they go in the theater. But it's like, to add to the disjointedness of the movie, if that's even a word, them putting this title thing up, it's just questionable. Like, why is that here? Is there supposed to be, am I supposed to know that there's like another part 2?
But again, you could say that about damn near every scene in this movie. Like,
that's my thing.
Last note on this is this movie is just loaded with, yeah, sure, whatever. And you're right, that doesn't necessarily help. But again, maybe it's just like you take it by title, or take it title by title. But it worked in this one, where a lot of movies that are like this, where it's just throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks, it doesn't work, or it falls short. This one, for me, I at least find myself being entertained by it. Now, This movie is kind of one of those movies that's in that like cult status of horror movies where people like love the shit out of this movie. And I can see why. I don't love it to that extent. Like, it's cool. I like it. I'm sure I'll watch it again. I'll watch a sequel again. But it's not a movie that I feel like you have to like, if you haven't seen Demons, stop what you're doing right now. Go watch Demons. Like, I'm not quite there. I mean, you can probably guess where I'm going to go, like hot dog wise, when we get to that in a moment. But this isn't like The Thing or something like that, where it's like you haven't seen this. Like, turn this off and go listen, or go watch that. That's much better use of your time. I mean, it probably is, but that's not what I'm claiming with this. But it does just kind of fall into place for me.
I mean, it's no City of the Walking Dead, but
I haven't seen that in a really long time, but I'll take your word for it. I would say, like, I don't want to pick this apart because I don't want to like spoil anything, but I don't really feel like there's much to spoil here either, because aside from the things I already said, like, or we've already said, like, oh, there's a dirt bike and a helicopter that shows up and fucking demon comes out of some chick's back, and those are like the big, like, what the fuck moments. Yeah, green pussy shit. Couple other what the fuck moments. I mean, this is in a lot of ways, a practical effects showpiece, for better or worse. And I guess that's what you kind of have to decide if you want to get into when you put Demons on. Do you want to watch a bunch of crazy shit, or do you want to watch story, plot, all that bullshit?
Yeah.
But I don't have a whole ton to put on it. Like, I thought I was going to have more to say about this movie, but after watching it again, I'm like, what do you really say? Like,
I have one, maybe since you're a seasoned Demons viewer, this is the first time I've seen this movie. Of course, it's been on my radar. I know about this movie. I've known about this movie forever. Just never sat down and watched it. I forgot to even bring that up. So yeah, that's okay. I brought it up for you. I have a question. In the movie, I'm not nitpicking. I'm not picking apart. I just have a single fucking question about this person. There is someone in the movie. I'm not, just fuck it. There's a redhead that's taking tickets, right? When the audience is coming in, she's the one taking the tickets, and she's, like, she's a part of it. She's in the theater. She got there before it opened. Like, it's this theater nobody knew about. It's like, oh, I didn't know there was a theater here. Oh, they're showing a movie? Cool, let's go see this movie. She's taking tickets. She's at the movie theater. How does she not know anything's going to go on? Where's she come from? And how come she doesn't? Well, number one, why do the demons go after her? But how does she not know what the fuck's going to happen? I don't really give, honestly, you don't have to have a story. You could just, it's cool set pieces.
I'm going to make up an answer.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I mentioned that I worked in 2 different movie theaters. I was a kid when I did that. The first one I was 16. I worked there till I was about 18, 19. And the second one I was working at from like 20 to 21. So I was young. If I had to guess, you don't hire someone to rip tickets and then tell them your plan to kill an entire theater full of people.
Well, who hired her?
Best answer I can give you. Oh, the Demons.
What do they have money from?
Saxon?
Demonin?
Motley Crue?
Demonin.
Yeah, Demonin. Motley Crue royalties. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you. So,
I love you're just throwing around this your clout of working in a theater too.
There is no clout about that. It's literally scooping up a bunch of shit and whatnot. But I wish something like this happened while I was working in a theater, because I wouldn't have to be pissed off at Spotify. I would have been dead fucking 30 years ago.
True. Very true.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add with this one?
No, I'm ready to fire up that grill. Get in that kitchen. You got some cooking to do.
We're at a theater. There's no grill. It's a hot dog roller. So let's throw some hot dogs on the roller.
Even fucking better.
Then you're in for a big treat, bro, because it's hot dog time.
So I've already said it like 3 times. I'll go ahead and lead us off with it. I do like this movie. I do think this is fun. It's ridiculous. Everything about it is over the top and arguably stupid, but I always have fun with it when I watch it. Tony the Pimp is way better than Tony the Tiger and needs his own like side quest movie, because like just a movie of him doing anything, I would watch an hour and a half of just that.
I think there is a cartoon or something. Yeah, that someone's made.
There should be. If anyone has found Tony the Pimp doing things other than being in the movie Demons, please send it our way so we can talk about it.
It's a 2011 short called Tony the Pimp that he stars in.
Okay. I assume you're making this up.
No,
but
nope, it's on IMDb. It has to be true.
I don't know. IMDb also says this movie only grossed $2,982. So, no, sorry, $2,932. That would be considered a bomb. It's a full hot dog. Just don't go into it expecting anything that's like groundbreaking, earth-shattering, or like thought-provoking. It's fun, it's dumb, it's gory, and it's got demons and a guy named Hot Dog and Coke out of a Coke can.
Whose hot dog is this, huh? Is it yours?
So I'm a little torn because this is a totally easy movie to describe what's going on, what the movie's about. But at the same time, my biggest complaint, I don't know. It's just disjointed and nonsensical. I love the end of this movie. It's so nihilistic. And as I mentioned earlier, I am a nihilist now. It's fun. It's got like a little bit of a metal edge to it, the movie, not the ending. So I think that's actually pretty cool. The music that comes on, you're just like, I don't know where the fuck that's coming from, but it sounds pretty cool.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And weird random characters show up. So I would say if you like goofy special effects and you haven't seen this movie, I'd recommend that you go watch this movie. But at the same time, for me, I have to give it half a hot dog. It's fun. It's fun for a first watch. But if I could see myself ever sitting down to watch this again, I would give it a full hot dog. I just don't think I'm going to go back to this ever and watch it again. But I think I would show it again if I was like showing it to someone who hadn't seen it. I think it is a cool, like you mentioned, like get some beers, toss back a few, watch this movie, laugh at it. Like, oh shit, you just see that fucking person, that pus that fell in that guy's mouth? That is gross. That's great.
You gonna eat that pus?
Yeah, you gonna eat that pus? No, I'm not. But yeah, so I would say if I'm going to show it to somebody, I'll watch it again, but I'm not going to go back and watch this. So half a hot dog for me.
Okay, that's understandable. So I was really curious where you're going to fall on this because, again, I've been saying this whole episode, with how little this movie really gives you in terms of substance, other than substances, I wasn't sure where you were going to fall on it. So, and I couldn't remember if you had seen it or not. So.
Yeah, like I said, was on the radar since I've heard about it like 20 years ago or whatever, probably more than that. But yeah, I don't know. It's
definitely got some cool graphics. It's got some definite positives to it.
Oh,
like,
yeah, for sure.
The scene where all the demons or zombies or whatever the fuck we're calling them these days are coming up the staircase that kind of, I guess, inspired one of, if not the main poster. That's a really cool looking scene. Like, that's creepy. That's weird. Like, I really dug that. So there are some really cool shots on it, but that doesn't create a story. That doesn't create a plot. You know, that doesn't tell you anything about these people they're going to kill.
Yeah.
Take it for what it's worth.
And I'm not always a stickler for story, but when, I don't know what it is about this one, it's just like, it just really felt like it stretched like a 10. I think the idea for this movie is amazing. I think it's so cool to like, bring these people in to see a movie. They get trapped in the theater. What's happening on the movie is what's happening in the theater. Kind of one of those, you know, I mean, that's exactly what's going on. I think that's a super cool concept.
You describe it like that, it almost sounds like a 30-minute short film, though, as opposed to a full-length feature.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
So that being said, that brings us to question of the week, and this is similar to what we asked last week on the episode that you probably didn't hear because of copyright.
By now you'll hopefully have heard
that question. Yeah, hopefully. That question is, what is, in your opinion, a good zombie movie? We're going with zombies. Call it demons if you want. I don't care. We're going to start over on Instagram, and our friend Greg from You Gonna Eat That Pus says 28 Days Later, another movie that might or might not be zombies, Train to Busan, and Return of the Living Dead 1 through 3. Question for you. Have you watched Train to Busan? Whatever.
I have not watched Train to Busan. No. Jordana loves it, though.
I haven't either. A lot of people love it. Like, a lot. That's one of those, that movie will come up several times. I haven't seen it either. So maybe we need to fix that at some point. Just not today, because I don't want to. Let's see. Over still on Instagram, we have BP, who is over at Let's Talk Horror, and he says, the easiest and obvious best answer is the movie we all covered recently, which is Return of the Living Dead. And we gave a zillion reasons why. But I honestly think Zombie Flesh Eaters, or whatever the name you want to give it, is really a gnarly, great, effective zombie movie that gets super fucked up with gross but great special effects. So that's, I think, zombie, is that 4 or 5? That's Zombie Flesh Eaters, whatever. It's one of the Fulci ones, isn't it?
Is that just zombie for us?
Well, same director, but I thought Zombie Flesh Eaters was one of the
like
sequel,
Zombie
but
3
I don't know.
Or something.
Those movies have so many
alternate titles and
confusions.
Yeah.
Right. So which
Clear as
explains
mud.
why he says whatever you want to fucking call it.
Tell us what we
While
call
Sean's
it,
typing.
damn it.
Yeah. What do I click on when I'm in said app or whatever? The VHS Abyss says lots of gore, great practical effects, makeup, characters in confined areas, and some great set pieces for zombie action. Can't stand drawn out stories. You should watch Demons. I just want a hero, a bunch of cannon fodder, dicks, and plenty of brain munching action. Busan, The Horde, and Return of the Living Dead 3 are some of my favorites.
Zombie Flesh
Slasher
Eaters
Queen
is
6
the
set.
original zombie.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Slasher Queen 66 says Dawn of the Dead for me. Undead Symphony Pod says Train to Busan is up there. I love Night Eats the World 2, which I haven't seen that either. I've never even heard of that until just now. Even though I wouldn't say they're zombies, I'd put 28 Days Later at the top of that list also. Give Me Back My Horror Movie says it might be Train to Busan for myself. I love a good zombie shoot 'em up flick, tons of blood, and so forth. But Train to Busan shows so much heart and a zombie apocalypse outside of America, all the guns added up to so much tension. If anyone says Resident Evil, I'm going to throw an egg at them. Horror Geek Mel says everything already said here, but I got to give Dead Snow a mention. I love the setting, the humor, and the kills. Dead Snow is a super underrated horror movie.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let's see. Dissect That Film. Friends over there said Day of the Dead, 1985. So not the Ving Rhames one, or was it Ving Rhames or was it?
Yeah, it's Ving
Ving
Rhames.
Rhames, right?
Yeah.
So not the Ving Rhames one, 1985. Everything about the movie is near perfect, and those effects are glorious. I love that movie too. Can't really argue there. Spuds McKenzie says Shaun of the Dead and The Walking Dead. Okay, that's not a movie, but whatever. I agree, but whatever indeed. Over on Threads, our friend Justin from Pop Culture Reflections podcast says, my favorites are Return of the Living Dead, Shaun of the Dead, and Return of the Living Dead 3, as well as Reanimator. Do you think Reanimator is a zombie movie? I mean, I guess it is. I always think of it more as like a mad scientist movie, but he's right. He is quite literally reanimating the dead, so guess.
I'll give it to him.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to argue with man. And then let's see here. I got to load up Blue Sky because that's what's left. Over on Blue Sky, so our friend Puro, who is XX Pearly XX on Blue Sky, says Dawn of the Dead is the obvious pick, but give me a shark punching zombie like in Lucio Fulci's Zombie 1979, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters. See, we didn't need to look it up. We could just.
Don't you mean Zombie Flesh Eaters? Jeez.
Anyway, aka Zombie Flesh Eaters and like 5 other titles. I think it's a pretty good one. Shawnee Darko says, zombies are probably my least favorite subgenre, but I love Fulci's The Beyond and Zombie, and of course Night of the Living Dead and also Reanimator. And then Man with Pez says, depends on my mood. When I want a funny movie, I want Shaun of the Dead, or Return of the Living Dead. When I want a serious movie, I want Night of the Living Dead, the original, or with the side of my heart, Train to Busan. I also think the remake of Dawn of the Dead is simply badass, and I'm tired of pretending that it isn't. I really like the remake of Dawn of the Dead. The problem with the remake of Dawn of the Dead is that they called it Dawn of the Dead. That's my only real problem with it. If it was just another zombie mall movie, I'd probably like it even more than I do, but I'm not going to compare it to what I think is arguably the best horror movie ever made and say that it's better. I can't do that. Sean, how about you? Any thoughts on what makes a good zombie movie?
So are we naming good zombie movies, or are we saying what makes a good zombie movie?
Yes.
I don't know what
I'd
makes
say
a good
just name
zombie
some
movie,
movies.
but I really enjoyed both. I mean, the original Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite zombie movies. I think the Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, like you said, I don't care what they call it. I thought it was a great movie. I like Shaun of the Dead. There's too many to mention. There are a lot of good zombie movies. I wanted to ask you a question before we get to your picks. Have you ever heard of a movie called just Flesh Eater?
I think so.
The big claim to it is it's starring, it's directed by, it's written by Bill Hinsman. And if you don't know that name, Bill Hinsman is the original zombie from Night of the Living Dead, like the one that they're coming to get you, Barbara. That guy, he's like, he's like a super zombie in the movie. He's like Patient Zero, basically. So it's actually for like a super duper low budget movie. It's kind of fun. I remember it being fun. I don't want to don't write this in stone. Sean says this movie's fun. I watched it. It's shit. I remember it being fun. I just think it's cool that this guy who is in a movie, like he's the original zombie from the start of all the stuff that we actually call zombie movies. made his own zombie movie where he's the zombie. I think that's just a hilarious idea on its own.
Didn't he get like mixed up in the whole Dan O'Bannon thing? Like, wasn't he involved with Return of the Living Dead and then the Tom Savini remake of Night of the Living Dead?
I'm not sure much about his history. I mean, I know he's been in some stuff. I know, he was in the Crazies with Romero and Amusement Park and Night Riders. So all the Romero stuff really. Flesh Eater came out in 88, which would have been, it's like he's only got a few credits before it, honestly. And he kind of kept working up until 2016. I think he passed. Actually, it's posthumous because he died in 2012 and he was in a movie from 2016. So yeah, I don't really know his whole story. I just know that he was that like original zombie dude.
So for me, anyone who's listening to this show like quite a bit knows I'm a big fan of Romero's stuff, especially his first 3 Dead movies. I think are bar none the best, period. I will give him credit for one that a lot of people don't like. I think Diary of the Dead did a really good job with what it was. He took a different approach to it, and it's not as good as the earlier movies in the series, but I do think it does some things pretty well, and I think it's kind of shit on unfairly. If we're going to get like kind of loose with the rules of zombie movies, I love Planet Terror, and that is essentially a zombie movie in so many words, and it's got Rose McGowan with a machine gun leg. What else do you really fucking need? So I love that one. If you want a silly movie that also gets kind of shit on a little bit, but I thought was pretty good, The Dead Don't Die is a recent movie. I want to say it's like 2022-ish. No, I was way off. 2019. It's got Bill Murray and Kylo Ren in it, as well as Iggy Pop and a bunch of other people that show up for a little bit. But it's basically a comedy take on a zombie movie, but I thought it was better than it got credit for too. It kind of got shit on a lot, and I had fun with it. It's been on Netflix recently, and there's probably about 1 million out there. I would say avoid The Video Dead. That movie was pretty fucking terrible.
That was great.
We talked about that a few months back. Army of the Dead was fucking terrible. The one that Zack Snyder did as a sequel to Dawn of the Dead, the Vegas one that came out during COVID
with,
and just was
Batista. Dave Batista.
Yeah, he's in it. Yeah, I did not enjoy that. And of course, like I said, Return of the Living Dead's way up there too. So if you haven't seen that one, I don't know if I would go with the first 3 movies, but 1 and 3 are one for sure. 3 does some really interesting things that are very different for the genre. Like it's like this weird zombie goth like romance movie. I'm not entirely sure. One of these days we're going to have Justin on from Pop Culture Reflections, because I know he really loves that movie, and he's going to have to like basically teach me why this movie is so much better than what I see with it, because I see it a movie that's like good and interesting, but like he loves that movie. And again, I'm not trying to shit on that. Like I don't have that same affection for it. And part 2, again, we've said this a bunch of times over the course of the show, it gets shit on a little unfairly. It's not as good as 1, it's not as good as 3, but it's also not the worst fucking movie you can see. But we can save more zombie talk for later times, because we've rambled on quite a bit. I think that's all we got for this week. So if you're listening to this and you like the movie Trick or Treat, or if you listen to that episode, because that's still up at the time of this recording, we are going to be playing that down at Batch at the end of the week on Devil's Night, October 30th. Please come out, hang out with us, have a couple beers, have a hot dog. We're going to be watching a horror metal movie, because that is apparently also a reoccurring theme this month. You can find all of our episodes on all the appropriate podcast platforms. We do ask, though, that you please go to our network site, which is yourunpodcast.com. All the other great shows on the You Run Podcast Network are there as well. Please do check someone out that you haven't heard before while you're there. That would be greatly appreciated. You can go to our site, which is crap.town, where you can find all of our old episodes and all of our new episodes. I think you can even still find Project Metal Beast on there, if I remember right. Is it? Maybe? No? Yes?
Yeah. Could have went there the whole time and listened to it to your heart's content. Never got taken down. Always there.
There you go. And then social media stuff, you can find us at Dewey Pod Monster and all the relevant social medias, except for Blue Sky, we were at crap.town. And Sean, what am I forgetting about?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you want your answer to the question of the week read on this here show, just like all those fine people that answer the question of the week, you can follow us on social media. Like John just said, it's at Dewey Pod Monster, except for Blue Sky, where it's at crap.town. If you want to hear or listen or watch any of the things that we talked about in this show, they'll be listed in the show notes. There's no other show that I know of. We're the only show in the universe that Gives you so much free content. We're trying to make every link to everything that we talk about free. Sometimes we just can't do that. Sometimes they're on other places. If they say Amazon next to them, though, that is an affiliate link. If you click that link, it takes you to Amazon. You buy that thing. We get a couple pennies in our pocket. If you want to help us, get off Spotify and find a real host that has real analytics and isn't draconian about their fucking copyright and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, buy some more stuff through those Amazon links and, maybe give us a few pennies and we can get hosting somewhere else and actually pay for it. Also, Bill Hinsman directed Majorettes. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm only on Blue Sky. I'm exclusively on Blue Sky. I signed a contract. It is in perpetuity. I cannot go to any other social media places. You can find me at internalbleeding.crap.town. Sometimes I rant. Sometimes I post clips of stuff. Sometimes I don't do anything, which is usually what I do. But if you want to follow me and you say in 3 months, hey, that guy posted something, that's where you can do it. It's on Blue Sky. I am at internalbleeding.crap.town. John.
So that's it. We'll be back next week. Have yourself hopefully we see you at Batch. Come out to Franks and Sons with us. And until next week when we have a new episode up, cheers, swell up, butt horns, Halloween, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Bird season's over, Butthorn. Blah, blah, blah.